Alright, so today's video, we are watching a Gold 2 support on PC. And yeah, we'll summarize this one here pretty quickly. Basically, they say that they're in their 40s and their reaction time has suffered a lot. I really feel like I played pretty well in this game overall, but I can't seem to escape gold this season on support. I know there are parts where I do questionable choices, but I don't feel like they're I don't feel like they're game-losing choices. I don't know if it's my hero choices for the situations or my lack of awareness, but something is keeping me from reaching the elusive plat on this role. I think I just need some fresh eyes from someone much higher level than myself to see where I'm going wrong. All right, fair enough. Let's see. I like that. I mean, I will say Ana on Junkertown, totally fine pick. Because it's a long-range map. I'm okay with this. Your comp's okay. Like, this is fine. We're watching. We're watching. So far, so good. You're hitting your shots. You're doing fine. Mauga, yep. In that situation, the one thing that you want to already improve on there is, like, you need to find ways to keep your tank in LOS, especially if they don't do that. You could have found ways to heal your Mauga there. That's very niche, though. Like, I'm not, like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's, like, small change on that. All right. Watching the heals. I mean, so far, I think you're doing okay. Like, I haven't really found a spot where I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Like, your positioning's pretty good. You know to play back. You know to play angles for the most part. Use your nano on somebody if you need to. Even then, you don't have to now. Like, I think so far, I don't have anything, like... You're playing fine so far? But I think that was just a good start. I wish I could sit here and be like, oh, what do you... Like, that was just a good start. Your positioning's been solid. I want you to be a little bit more, like... Try to figure out better angles if you can tell your team's starting to get out of position, right? Does that make sense? Like, if you can start to see that your team is gravitating away from your LOS and you can still go to a safe spot for LOS, like, do that. Like, this is an okay spot for you. Your Mauga is not making this easy on you. Has decided that cover is optional, is what this Mauga has decided. Honestly, you're playing well. Am I wrong? I'm watching. Keep healing your... I mean, I honestly, like, your position's been good. Your mechanics have been pretty good. That was quite the beat by your Lucio. Now, this is where I want you to adjust your position a little bit better. I know you dropped down here, but, like, I think you could have also went high ground again in that angle. It looks like it's fine for your team, but, like, that's what I mean. Like, just making those adjustments, even now, like, you're fine. You stayed low ground with your team. You weren't going to get rolled. That's what I mean. Like, a much quicker adjustment there, and you're able to keep your Mauga alive. Your Mauga's definitely going out of LOS a little bit more, which is making it a bit more difficult. But, yeah, you're not playing bad at all. Like so far, you're playing this well. That's pretty much where I'm at with that one. Still watching. Remember, when you have I know sometimes you want to throw with this DPS, like, it's all about timing. And especially when you can recognize that your Mauga has decided that the only way to play is to take as much damage as possible, but just enough damage where you have to heal them and they survive longer than they probably should. You're going to have to stay ahead of heals on them. You know, like... You see what I mean? This is going to be one of these games where... You know what I probably do here? Actually, you don't have to nano your soldier. Just nano your Mauga. I'm not even kidding you. If you nano your Mauga on cooldown, you probably win this game. And the reason being is because your Mauga plays aggressive enough that they'll actually follow up on that. So just nano him at this point. So the Mauga's definitely screaming, where are my heals? I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, the problem is that, like, I think sometimes now, and I'll pause for a second on this point. I would say, like, one of the issues that I think a lot of tanks run into now is that we just, like, don't know how much harder it is to get caught up on heals So, like, we take too much poke damage. And I keep talking about it a lot where, like, players constantly take all of this poke damage over and over and over again. And it runs into kind of like this issue where all that poke damage now in Season 8, it didn't really matter, right? You took poke damage, they healed you up, you were good to go. But now with the DPS passive, if you take too much poke damage, they just can't catch up on heals. Even though you have more HP, it's harder to catch up on those heals, right? So there's a bunch of different stuff. Anyway, but yeah, we take as a tank. I'll keep kind of hammering this point throughout spectators because a lot of tank players I still think are trying to figure stuff out. And keep in mind, by the way, keep this in mind, I am still trying to figure this out. If you've watched me play ranked games recently, tank has been a struggle for a lot of players. Minimize the poke damage you take. Poke damage is the 20 damage here, 20 damage there. That is the reason as to why your tank is falling down HP-wise, or why as a tank player you're falling over. I actually don't have the green screen system today. I mean, I could, but I don't really... Yeah. All right, I'm ready. Good nano. I'm not even kidding you. That's a great nano. I'm telling you right now, and that's understanding the pace of your teammates, that is a great nano by you. And I'm glad you did that, because that's what, like, in this situation, like in... Oh, I hope you don't get rolled by the Moira. In this situation, that's what I'm going to do. If my Malga wants to play that way and I can build up nano like really fast, I'm going to keep nano in my Malga because it's the best combo we're going to run into. Right? You always get the most healing as Lucio? It sounds like a playstyle thing. Like, it's not terrible. Remember your Malga. I want you to remember this. See, this is the problem. And I know it doesn't sound fun when I say this. Well, not fun, but, like, unfortunately, with you playing Ana right now, and the way your Malga is playing, you need to go into almost Healbot mode until your Malga is, like, at, like, 90% HP. Because the same thing's happening. You're just constantly falling behind on heals on your Malga. And, like, they haven't changed up their playstyle, right? If you're this far into the game and they haven't made an adjustment to their playstyle, there's a chance they won't. If they go, hey, I'm going to change up how I play, etc., and, like, and that changes, that's fine. But, like, right now, your Malga's playing aggressive. Their strategy is, can I take damage? Yes. If the answer to that is yes, they will go and take as much damage as possible. So, you notice how you went for a random sleep dart there that wouldn't have really changed much? I mean, a good sleep, don't get me wrong, is good. Now your Malga's at 30% or 40% HP. You're not in a good spot. You follow. You see what I'm saying? You got to mention your mechanics and, like, your reaction time. That has been the least of the worries this game, by the way, in my opinion. I haven't even seen that as an issue. Kiriko's on a bad swap. I do want to point out you may run into the same issue with your Malga. Well, like, it's on a bad swap in the sense that, like, now your Malga can expect even less heals. And keep in mind, I say less heals. It's not like you're getting less healing. It's more along the lines of, like, you can do a bit more in Kiriko if you want to. But, like, look at how your, like, Malga's positioned. It's like, I have decided that the middle of the map is where I will go. Here I am. Anybody need ult charge? Hello. Ult charge delivery. Like, it's... You can TP in there to save him. Remember that. That's going to benefit your team. Not bad. You said Brigitte and Kiriko? I actually don't mind this. I'm not saying it's some of my favorite, like comp, like, support line-wise, but it's not the worst either. I don't actually mind this. I think it's fine. Like I said, the number one issue is going to be how your Malga's playing. Like, they're just playing very aggro. Wow, what a tire. That was actually great. But yeah, not bad. As I was saying, like, I don't really think, like, when I watch this, I don't think it's, like, a major issue with, like, your mechanics. Like, or, like, your reaction time. You mentioned that in your post, but, like, I don't really see that, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Right? Like, I didn't really see, like, oh, you fell behind, like, by doing this. Like, a lot of the time, it's because you're actually using, like, your good mechanics to try and make a play happen. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, there's a lot of good stuff that you're doing in these situations that I think are really, really cool. Okay, let's see how this one goes. Okay, they're on Sigma now. So, like, now you can definitely, you have a BAP. You're in a good spot now. You are going to play this a little bit less heal body. And what I mean by that is now that you have that BAP there, you don't really have to worry too much about your tank as much right now. If you were running Kiriko Lucio, you would have to worry about your tank a lot more. Is this going on YouTube? Most of the spectators I do go on YouTube, unless it's, like, absolutely terrible, which I think we've had a total of one spectator that hasn't gone on YouTube. The one spectate that we haven't got on YouTube is somebody was like, hey, so that wasn't my code. That was my friend, and then they didn't want me to put it up. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm gonna respect that. Like, basically, they pretended it was them, and then they put it up, and then we spectated it, and then their friend found out, and then they were like, no, I don't want that on there. And then we were like, okay, that's totally, that's respectable. I can understand that. So, I think that's the only one we haven't put up. So, most of these go live on YouTube, is what I'm saying. Nice save. So yeah, remember, in this comp, though, like, your BAP is going to be more who worries about your Sigma. Like, you want to heal your Sigma, but, like, if the Sigma gets rolled, it's two things are going to happen. Your BAP is doing what you're doing, which is just DPSing, or your tank is out of position. I'll chalk that up to your tank is out of position. Yeah, I probably don't need to go too in-depth on this one. Yeah, that Kitsune just wasn't going to be good. This is where you need to track how many limbs you've gotten. It's a 3v3. Look, they're pushing the cart. And this is also something I do. And this is a little bit of a tip that maybe I should bring up more. If I have the question of, do I ult here in that situation? Like, are they going to push in and take the numbers advantage? I would say a little bit of a tip. Do you see up top right here? Can you see, like, my mouse here on the screen? Okay, do you see this right here? Now, do you know what this means? On top of this part right here where I'm circling my mouse. That means there's 3 people on the payload. Okay? And you got 2 limbs. So the remaining 3 players in their team are on the cart. Which means that you don't have to use a Kitsune at this angle or at all because they're not even pushing in. So you have a time in to wait. So, like, that is sometimes where I'll make a decision where it's like, okay, it's a 3v3. I have Sigma ult, but then I see 3 on cart. I'm like, okay, I can wait a couple extra seconds here. I have a time in. I don't need to go for this limb. Sometimes I will go for it, but, like, remember, you can always see how many are on cart, and it gives you an idea of, like, the numbers advantage you can have. Remember, there's 5 players on a team. If I see this number say 4, and I see someone right in front of me, I know I have a free pick on them, right? How do I pick them? Right now, I have Crap take a look, and we just basically, a lot of it comes down to storyline. Is there a good story to the game? Is it an entertaining game? What's this? It gets curated now, a little bit more than we have before. That's why if you haven't, my guess is if you've been watching some of the spectators over the past, like, I'd say 2 weeks, you're probably noticing that the quality of them has probably improved quite a bit. The quality of that's a situation, by the way, where your team needs to reset. Your team never really reset, and you kept going in. So that's a team issue right there. How do you track enemy ultimates? I mean, it can start as simple things. Try to track one ultimate on a team. Try to, like, you know, whenever, like, an enemy gets you, try to guess what their ult charge is at, and then look at the kill cam, and you can see. Yeah, we get a lot of ego VODs. They'll be like, hey, watch this 4-minute push game, but don't watch the first 2 minutes. I went 32-0. You need to see this. And then you watch it, and then it's just like, they went 32-0, and you're like, yep, that's exactly what I see. Also, right now what's happening to your team is you're getting snowballed. This goes back to what I was talking about, where, like, you need to, snowball is where the team just constantly just, like, keeps pushing the cart and you don't regroup. If you ever find that, like, there's an issue with your retake on Junkertown, a safe way to go when you get snowballed off of first is go right side. Go top right. There's a lot more cover there and less opportunity for them to take angles on you. Now you might not even get the point. Like, I don't even know if you get the point. I think you just gave up. That was for free. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Okay, even Orisa now. So far, so good. I don't Kitsune yet. Don't Kitsune yet. I know you. I mean, I know Kitsune. Yeah, no, yeah, you can. I was gonna say, I want you to use your window to the full value, and if for some reason your team can't win that, that's the correct play. You don't want to obviously double ult that or overuse your ults. A little bit too much trying to force the damage there. Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think keep in mind sometimes it's okay to use Kitsune, then keep your teammates alive. That was one of those situations where, like, you kind of, like, focus on a Doomfist who's going to take a little bit longer to get anyway because of the block. So in that situation, if the Doom's going to go into block mode, I want you to prioritize getting your heals up a little bit. I think you'll be fine on that one. Good ultimate. Not the best reaction to the ult because your teammates are just falling over HP-wise. How'd that not sleep the... Is it me or should I have slept the Doom? Unless maybe the Mei ice blocked it? You're new to Overwatch 2 and you like playing Junkrat. Junkrat's fun. I mean, Junkrat's a lot of just, like, spamming random damage and getting good mind combos. Yeah, I would say your number one issue here is your team just got snowballed all the way from, like, first point. This is why it's so important to regroup. Your team has never had a good regroup, and the one time that you regrouped, What happens if, like, let me ask you this question, chat. If the other team just snowballs you and doesn't have to do much to use ults, what happens is that even that when you do finally regroup, it just becomes an ult stack war. And that becomes even like, it's like 50-50 maybe. Like it's not an ideal spot for you. So, good job by your team retaking that. That was very well played, but that's what happens is like, if you have really bad team fights over and over again, that's the result that happens. But that was a great hold. Good job going there. Good job, being able to take that team fight. That was looking like you were about to get rolled there. So good job by your team. Still watching. Here we go. I'm ready to see what you're doing next. All right, that's a... Okay, so what was the problem with this Kitsune? I just want to point something out here. What's the problem with that Kitsune, by the way? And I don't know if you realize this, but your Mei wall blocks that. Yeah, so you just Kitsune into a Mei wall, right there it stops. So just remember, if like your teammate has a Mei wall, go to the right of it or to the left of it. Otherwise, it's gonna the fox will run right into the wall, and that's that. You're in a lucky spot where like your teammates can follow up on that a lot easier because they're not going to push in too aggressively, but you're also in a spot where that can still be a very difficult spot. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, just want to point that out. We're watching. Be careful. Looking at your teammate. Good job. Not bad now. I think, like, if I'm going to be honest with you, you said you want to get from gold to plat. I actually think you're really close to being plat. I think your number one issue is that you fall behind on the heals sometimes, and it's not necessarily your fault, because, like, you are trying to do a little bit more of that damage output, but, like, it's all about the pace of your tank, right? If you have a tank that plays more aggressive and is willing to create that space for your team, keeping that tank alive will be advantageous for you. If you have a tank who plays a little bit more passive and decides that they want to, like, play back and spam, then you can go the Kiriko and do more damage, because the tank is more than likely going to take a little bit less damage when they have a more passive play style, right? You get what I'm saying? So, like, it can be... It's one of those things where I think your number one thing right now, if you want to climb out of plat, obviously you want to keep practicing, working on your mechanics, but your mechanics have been pretty good, is I really think you need to look at how your tank's playing and change your play style based off of how that tank's playing. So just to give you, like, an easy, like, step-by-step process, if your tank is really aggro, focus on keeping them alive more and not falling behind on heals. If your tank is not as aggro and plays a little bit more passive, a little bit more kind of in between, you can do more damage output. Is that a good way to go about that for you? Does that work? Also, nice job by your team here. I think you're just going to win this. Oh, you heard that if you just yell at your tank, they'll start playing better? Yes. Yeah, that's when I really start playing better for sure. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, I would say, like, overall, I mean, you mentioned your mechanics and, like, oh, like, you don't know, like, I will say this right now. Your mechanics, your movement, your reaction time all seemed fine to me. I didn't see many moments where I was like, wow, that was a 20-second reaction time. Wow, what were you doing? I felt like overall your reaction time was just fine. I didn't see any major issues with that. I think your number one issue is really just like looking at the pace of your tank. So just to give you that step one more time, your tank is really aggro. Go into a bit more of that heal bot mode a little bit more into that, like, make sure your tank is at a good HP and then do your damage. If your tank is playing a bit more passive and, like, doesn't really get that aggro and isn't falling behind too much on HP, then go into more of that damage output style that you were doing. I think it's just going to be a play style adjustment for you based off of what you're saying. All right? So I think that's, like, the adjustment. Yeah, I don't think you played overall bad. I think you can climb to plat 100%. I actually believe you can climb to plat. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to all 3 YouTubes if you haven't. If you want to submit your own spectator, look in the description below. You'll see my Discord. We also record these live on stream. We have a lot of fun here, so stop by if you haven't. You can see the Twitch chat below the webcam. And with that being said, hope you have an amazing day / night.